Welcome to Driving Miss Elly. In case you weren't sure, I'm Ellie. Here today we have a 2006 Jaguar XKR. This is an early example of the X150 body type that was in production from 2006 to 2014. These cars were the last of the large GT cars made by Jaguar since the introduction of the XJS in 1975. The model was not replaced when production ended in 2014, although the more sporty F-Type, introduced in 2011, is still available today. Ford's ownership of Jaguar at this time was very notable on these cars, the most notable being a modern, for-the-time interior. I get the feeling Ford had told Jaguar to move on and appeal to a younger buyer. The most important change was its fully aluminium body shell, which gave two huge advantages. Firstly, a reduction in weight, giving stronger performance and more responsive handling. Secondly, no rust. Gone are the days of rampant rust and dodgy electrics which sent many an aging Jaguar to its grave. Bodywork was styled by Ian Callum, who is also responsible for the Ford Puma and Aston Martin DB7 and DB9. It's a bit more muscular than the previous XK, but has maybe lost some of that car's classic curves and traditional Jaguar interior. The X150 Jaguar was offered as a hardtop or convertible, and in normally aspirated XK or supercharged XKR forms. Engines are 4.2 litres up until 2009 and 5 litres from then on. Both are versions of Jaguar's 32-valve V8 8JA engines, which can also be found in high-end Range Rovers of the time. Drive is provided to the rear wheels via a 6-speed ZF automatic box with normal, sport and paddle shift models. Equipment levels were high, as you might expect for a car costing £70,000 14 years ago. Jaguar's CATS adaptive suspension was standard across the range, but options such as the 20-inch centre wheels, an upgraded sound system or radar cruise control could also be added. Choosing the XKR over the XK gave you an Eaton supercharger mounted atop the engine, larger brakes, bonnet vents and a couple of extra exhausts. Rivals when new would have been the SL range from Mercedes, BMW 6 Series, or for more money, the Aston Martin DB9. Fuel consumption is about 19 miles per gallon in the real world, but they do seem to shrug off high mileage. Controls are light, typical Jag, and accommodations for front seat occupants is comfortable and spacious for a car of this type. The 4.2 V8 in this car should deliver 420 brake horsepower and 413 pounds-foot of torque, giving an effortless feel to the driving experience. The strong torque output is noticeable throughout the rev range, however its ride quality and refinement cannot match that of the V12 Jags of old. The thing that overwhelmed me quite considerably when I got into this car was the immense amount of buttons there are. There are buttons in the door, there are buttons in the dash, there are buttons on the steering wheel. There is a climate control, radio controls, sat-nav and phone controls that are all run through the touchscreen in the centre. You were offered a choice of trim on this car. You could either have metal or wood veneer. The steering wheel controls, you have a cruise control and radio, and then on the actual dashboard itself you've got your rev counter, speed counter and the fuel gauge. There was no temperature gauge included in this vehicle, so the owner did have one added afterwards. There's a keyless ignition and it does have an auto gearbox only, which was standard. There is also the radar cruise control, which will keep the same gap from the car in front when you're cruising. There's very limited boot space on this. You could get a couple of bags of shopping at most. It also has very tiny back seats, and it's really unusable for other passengers. It's more of a two-person car. The seat controls for the front is very, very adjustable and can go in many different directions for the optimum comfort position. The interesting thing under the bonnet of this Jag are these pedestrian safety airbags. What happens is if you had the unfortunate bad luck of actually hitting a pedestrian, the airbags engage, tilt the bonnet up, so they make it safer for the person who's had the misfortune of ending up on the front of your car.
Driving Miss Elly Mad!
Today's edition of Driving Miss Elly Mad, we're going to talk about people that sit in the fast lane and go below the speed limit. Why? Just why? Please don't do it. You then get a queue of people behind you flashing and getting aggravated because some person's just oblivious to the fact they're completely in the wrong place. It slows up everyone. Just overtake and move back in the right lane. Stay in your lane. Thanks for joining us today on Driving Miss Elly. Do us a favour, go down to the bottom, click the subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell so you'll never miss a new episode. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook by typing in the search bar Driving Miss Elly. See you soon.